Welcome back, everybody, to Scale Success Reptile Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have a software company joining us. As he said himself backstage, sometimes it's boring talking about software, but I think it's an important part. At least I enjoy using it, and I think can maybe set your keeping to the next level. So we're gonna dive deep into Husbandry Pro and see, pick the brain of the owner and programmer of this program and see what's going to set them apart from the other stuff that's out there. And also big brain to see, where does he fit into the reptile community and industry also as on his personal level. So we're gonna, dive deep in there. What's going on, Shovel Nose Hogs? Say hi to people. What's going on, everybody? Morph Master J, what's going on? Thank you for stopping by this early. Also, I want to give you guys a quick update on my stuff. So far, I have a couple hatchlings already ready to be sold to go to new homes. So that's listed on, and a lot of people don't know, but Husbandry Pro has a store to it. So it's listed on my Husbandry Pro, and it's also listed on my Morph Market. It's both links are below in the description, along with the Husbandry Pro link to be able to subscribe to their programming. So we have, I think right now about maybe 6 babies so far, but I think as of Sunday we have close to 30 that are fully ready to go. So I'm debating on if I'm going to list them right now because Thursday morning we're going to head up to Daytona Reptile Expo. So if I list them, I'll have to bring them back down. So that's another thing I want to remind you guys. We're going to be at Daytona National Breeders Expo. We're going to be tables 123 through 125. We're going to set up with As an Exotic Fire Hogs, our good friend. So we're going to have 3 tables there. So stop by, make sure if you're in town and say hi to us. We're going to have merch. We're going to have some really cool shirts. We're going to have babies. And same thing for him. Let's say hi. A couple more people jumping in. Dustin, what's going on? Billy, BM Hogs, what's going on, bud? How things going? How's those? I saw you guys had some really nice babies recently, right? And Dustin with Susan Show Me Kitties also had some really good hatchlings. Sexing and Flexing Reptile Podcast, what's going on, Chris and Levi? Eric's Morph Factory, what's going on, bud? We got a lot of South Florida people in here. Show Me Kitties, what's going on, Susie? I know you guys are also Husbandry Pro users. North Star Exotic Pets, what's up? What's up? Thank you for joining, everybody. I think this is going to be a really good one because we're going to have people are interested in this program. So you know what? I gave you guys a quick update. So remember, Daytona, also YouTube. We are very close to our 500 mark subscriber. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the playlist. Hit the Scale Success Reptile Podcast playlist so we can get those watch hours for us. Also, we're adding it to Spotify and all major podcast platforms. So the first episode's up, and within this and next week, we're going to upload a handful, a lot more. So stay people sometimes just want the audio version to be able to listen on the way to work or at work. What's going on, Joe? Meteoric? Man, that word gets me. Meteoric serpents. That's a tongue twister. All right. So enough about me. Let's bring on Robert. We're gonna get him on this live, and let's talk a little bit about Husbandry Pro.
Hey.
What's going on, Robert?
Hey, not too much. Awesome intro. Thank you.
Thank you. So I did a quick, intro about what we're going to be talking about tonight. We have a couple people. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but I'll go through them with you here. Like to give people that support us, give a quick shout out to them also. Morph Master J. We got Shovel Nose Hogs, Jermaine. He's also another Shovel Nose Hog person, a Western Hog Nose breeder. Dustin and Show Me Kitties. They also do Husbandry Pro.
Yep.
Billy, another hog nose. Holly, I didn't say hi. Hi, Texoma Exotics. We have another reptile podcast here supporting us as well. Eric's More Factory, North Star Exotics, and Joe.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Good.
Robert.
All hognose people. This is fantastic because you know what? I've been on the ball python train, right, for a while. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and you know what? I think the other thing that I ball pythons, a lot of people are knocking it, but I don't think it would be as an encompassing and big program without that, right? Without my background in ball pythons and things like that. It's easier to develop for something that everybody is familiar with or a lot of people are familiar with than it is something smaller. Because if we came from a hognose community, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have gone where it's gone, right, over the last few years. So
I agree. I
right.
agree.
So and they're so similar. And you know what? And as you know, we do everything from we got spiders, we have people monitoring their trucks in Husbandry Pro. So pretty much anything could be used in there.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? And it's very customizable to
Yep.
what your needs are, right? You can add specific customized actions. You can add species or non-species, like you said. People are
Right.
driving cars with it.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy to think about.
Yep. There's a
You
guy that
know?
does his B&Bs, right? His bed and breakfast. He runs them all
Yeah,
on that. Yeah,
that's
it's
interesting.
amazing because it's really you can set it up to anything. You don't have to think inside our box,
Hmm.
right? So you can go anywhere you want with it. And that was the intent from the beginning is to, you know what, let's build a piece of software that isn't built for me, right? It's built for uh, however you want to use it, and allow people to do whatever they want with it. So, and I think that, in that we built something great, but we also kind of shot ourselves a little bit by not making it simple enough, as you and I had a chat earlier a little bit about, right? Is
Yeah,
it's definitely not a simple thing to use. So I appreciate everybody that gets in there, gets messy, and stays with it for a while,
for
for
sure,
sure.
for sure. Yeah. I'll tell you, I've been using it for close to a year now.
Right.
And I'm glad what I've told some of my also hognose friends that have a larger collection than I do, and trying to start that large collection on Husbandry Pro is I'm glad I found it early on
Right.
where I can learn it with a small scale and then grow with it as my collection grows and stuff like that
Right,
because
right.
it was a
Those are
lot
our core
easier.
users too, right? Those are the guys, they started and those are the ones that really promoted is the ones that, took the time in the beginning when their collections weren't that big. And you know what? Factually, it saves you time. It gives you extra time every month, right, to do other things with your collection. You don't have to worry about a lot of things. And I think the other key with the software is that it really shows you in a professional manner when you can print out those sheets that when you sell an animal and it's got everything listed,
Right.
what's happened to the animal over the last however long you want.
Mhm.
So yeah, I know the people that use it just love it. The people that are into it just love it. And the people that are just getting into it are a little hesitant. I get it. I think doing more of this kind of stuff, right, and talking about it, is great for our platform for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to tell everybody that in the audience, if you guys have any questions or suggestions, put it in the comment because as we're talking with Robert behind in before the show started, is that these things are not just good for us as the consumer to see, what's going on with their program, but it's very important for them to take consideration on what we're seeing on the user end too.
Absolutely, for sure.
You know? Um, first of all, and I didn't say before the show, thank you for the shirt and the mug.
Yeah, no problem.
Those mugs are really beautiful, are really
Aren't they
cool. I like
nice?
them a lot. They're really nice.
You know
Nice
what?
big mugs.
Here's the thing. We're calling these ones special edition. Where are they? We're calling these special edition because oh no, we call these the regular ones because the first one we got with our orange on it was a bad orange, right? So those were the special edition. They're all gone. So if you have one of the orange ones, you're really lucky.
Yeah,
But all the white ones are out now. So I prefer it in white anyway. So
yeah. That's it's really cool mug. And then the shirt is really good quality too. So you
right.
guys have some merchandise and stuff like that for sure. I think. So let's get a little bit into yourself,
Sure.
Robert, because I know you're not really, not a bad thing, but you're not really well known in the reptile community. I didn't know about you until I started using Husbandry Pro and
Right.
I saw you in another podcast and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, for me, I'm believe it or not, 54 years old, grandfather of four. But I started in the industry. I think I had my first pet store job when I was 16. Um, I ended up buying a pet store at 20. That was a Reptile mostly pet store. Didn't know what I was doing. Ended up losing that and then getting into importing. So when I was, I guess, about 23 to 25, I did a lot of importing into Canada because I'm in Canada. I don't know if you knew
Okay.
that. Um, so we did a lot of, I did a lot of importing back then. When a lot of the animals like panther chameleons were $10. We were getting bags out of Madagascar that were, insane. Ball pythons were $5. These things were coming in with, these weird patterns, and we were going, oh, look at this crap, get rid of it. Right. So that's what it was like back then. But I did that for a while, and I bred Burmese pythons back in the day. But I totally got out of animals from the time I was 30 until about 40. I went into the tech industry. I owned a fairly large tech firm here in Canada. We got nailed in a tech bubble around middle of 2005. So I went back into consulting and software development and that kind of thing. I guess I hooked on with the Canadian Pet Expo up here and did some development for them for a while, and then um, decided after, I guess when was the pandemic start? 2000,
2000s,
2001?
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. The end of whenever that
2020.
was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a software development company I owned that we did back end systems and things like that for clients. Um, Pandemic came along. You can't see clients anymore. Nobody wants to spend any money anymore. I've got staff, right? I've got myself I got to pay. So I basically said, then, you know what? It's time for me to, I said to my wife, do you mind if I invest some time? And she said, go for it and see what happens. So we spent the better part of 6 months designing the framework. I had two of my developers on it with me. And we built the first version of it, and got hooked up with Billy from Mutation Creation because he promotes us very well, and he's a partner that came on early. Um, and he does all the promotion, really, getting the word out there. But that's really the ball python community there too, right? It's not everybody. Um, but then it slowly it took I took a lot of my time away from my development company. I also own a embroidery company, so a lot of the shirts and things like that, the hats that we do, are actually from my company that my wife runs now, because I have to do this more than half my time is Husbandry Pro. But we
Wow.
have we have four developers on staff. People don't realize that this is not me in my basement, right, hammering away at a keyboard. I haven't touched a piece of code in 2 years. For Husbandry Pro, I've got the developers take care of that completely. I don't know if people that put in tickets, Vidal usually, he's my lead developer, and he'll talk to people, and then I've got another guy that works with him full time, and then I've got two other guys that come in and out. But I do most of the tech support because I'm really the only one that can bridge the reptile part of things um, with the software, right?
Mhm.
They're software guys, right? I'm both, right? So I do a lot of that still, but I've been breeding, I guess, for about the last 12 years. I breed emerald tree boas, redfoot tortoises, Honduran milk snakes, ball pythons. I don't breed Burmese anymore. I have one Burmese python left. We're just starting to get some leopard geckos because I actually I use it as a great excuse. I tell my wife, I said, I need to learn about how these things are used in
It's
Husbandry
it's
Pro.
it's for the business.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. So I've got $3,000 worth of black knights coming, right? So that's kind of that's
Nice.
kind of where I'm at right now. Is that we end up getting these different species now, and I'm using it as an excuse. Um, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Is that we're breeding stuff, and we're starting to learn a little bit, trying to learn a little bit more about the different species and how people are using it to kind of take a path for the future. Um, but at the same time, we're almost on like I don't want to call it a pause. What we did for the last couple years is in the beginning we did a lot of development, and then every time somebody threw an idea at us, we were like, yeah, let's do it, right? And we just we just said, do it, do it, do it every time, and we end up getting this big, huge system now. So what we've been doing over the last little while is we've kind of put a pause on saying yes to everything that people are suggesting. We're still taking all the suggestions. We're still, making this list of all the stuff we want to do. So that's all still happening. But we're now being a little more thoughtful about what we want to do within the industry and where we're going with things. And we're circling back to some of the problematic areas that we have, right? So like, things like build in uh, a breeding plan. Well, how does that affect every other part of the software, and how can you make it better? And those kind of things. So right now we've got, a few really big projects that are going to integrate with Husbandry Pro and the core of Husbandry Pro planned that we're working on. So that's why there haven't been a lot of small updates lately, or my stupid videos. So we've got the API coming out. We've got really robust stores coming out. So like you'll be able to, like Wix, you'll be able to do a whole store with a bunch of different modules. So we've got a few really big things coming, and we're just waiting until they're really polished to get them pushed out there. So that's kind of
That's
where
good
we're
to
at
hear.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So out of all the breeds that you're currently breeding,
Yeah.
we gotta add Western Hognose to that list now.
You know what?
You know.
I ended up owning. I had a hognose. I don't even know what kind it was. I didn't even know it was a Western or an Eastern hognose. I guess it was
Mhm.
I guess it was a Western that a kid had given me that didn't want it anymore. And I don't know. I don't know if I could. They're just. I think they're too small for me. I don't know.
Gotcha.
They don't get
Yeah,
very
yeah.
big,
They're
right?
no, not the males. Females will get 400, 350. It's about
Yeah.
a good size female. So it's still pretty small compared to tree boas and
Yeah. But
Honduran milks and stuff
exactly.
like that.
Yeah. But I think like a lot of us, we're kind of out of room, right? So I'm also,
Hmm.
you know what? I honestly, here's what I'm doing too is now every time I look at something to possibly get, I think, how long am I going to invest in this? Where do I want to be at
Yeah.
65 years old? Right? Do I want to, even now we find it difficult sometimes, to get away for a week, right? With
Yes.
everything we've got going.
Yeah.
I have albino iguanas too, that we're looking to breed. So we've got some animals that unfortunately need daily care, right? You can
Yeah. Yeah.
leave a hognose collection, no problem. But when you've got,
Yeah.
red-footed tortoises and iguanas, right? That's something you can't really leave for a week at a time, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't want to come in and feed a angry male iguana in heat, right? So it's,
Yeah. No, I
it
agree.
gets a little difficult. So every time, so what I do is I look to, what's going to happen in 10 years. I know I'm not going to want all these animals in 10 years. So where do I go with it? I don't even know what I'm going to do with redfoot tortoises in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
They're not,
So
to keep
so
them in
what was
Canada, it's
your
not easy.
yeah. What was your like main species that you kept before, like, when you started off?
When I started my second career in reptiles, or the first
Yeah.
career in reptiles? The
Let's say
second career
second because you
yeah,
had
the
a
second,
long
yeah,
break. Yeah.
exactly. The second career in reptiles was ball pythons. I bought,
Okay.
I bought my first pastel at $2,500. So I can't give you a year on that, but she's at least, I still own her. She's at least, 12, 15 years old, something like that. I don't know how long pastels were out for. They were kind of new in Canada when I bought it. Um, but it was ball pythons for years and years and years. And then I cut those down. I have one rack now. I have one ARS rack with ball pythons, and that's it. I've got more space devoted to emerald tree boas than I do to ball pythons.
Okay.
But yeah, I think ball pythons were my jam, and I think and I don't breed, like I don't have high end animals, and I don't sell. I don't really have the only reason I have a store is to test it, but I don't really sell. I actually have a friend out in Montreal. She has a store and she takes all my babies. I don't even ask how much. She just sends me money, and that's it, right? I'm not in it. I'm definitely not in it to make any money on the animals. I
Mhm.
actually, without the animals and how things work and everything else, I would never have been able to build the software, right? Or have the ideas to get to where I wanted it to be without those things. So yeah, ball pythons were the thing, but they're not necessarily my thing. I have wide interest in animals for sure, in
I
reptiles.
think ball pythons are definitely, like you were saying, without the ball pythons, Husbandry Pro probably wouldn't be here.
No,
The reptile community wouldn't be where it's at currently. first of
Right.
all. So that's why, like myself as a Western hognose breeder, and firstly, keeper and then breeder, um, I decided I wanted to immerse myself also in the ball python communities, like watch the podcasts,
Right.
make friends with ball python breeders and keepers, because I think there's a lot to learn on do's and
Right.
don'ts
Right.
from that industry, because it is the trailblazer of it.
Hmm.
It's the gateway species into the
Right.
community. Uh,
Exactly. Well, they're easy, right? And everybody wants one. The little kid next door has one,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
you wouldn't think
yep,
it, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I'd say, and without it, without understanding how it works and everything else, and because it teaches you all about genetics, and genetics are not just about ball pythons, right? They're about everything. I didn't know how a Punnett square worked until we started working on our own genetics calculators last year, right? So it's still teaching me things that I could never have gotten. We could never have got it as dialed in without the ball pythons, because with the ball pythons there's a lot of the allelic issues and a lot of these other sex linked traits and things like that you have to think about when you're building a genetics calculator, that we wouldn't have probably had to if we were doing it with corn snakes, or like, I'm not even sure. I don't even, our genetic calculators for hognose, I don't know how fantastic they are. They're built off what everybody's got,
Correct. Yeah, they're built
so
on the same thing.
exactly. Like, it's kind of the same data, right? As long
Yeah,
as people are telling us that something's recessive, or it's, codom or incomplete dom, and then it just works that way, right? It's math
yeah,
at the end of the
yeah.
day.
And then
Right?
yeah, and then there's still those debates like, no, it's not
Right.
dominant, it's polygenic and all
Right.
this stuff,
Right.
right? Like,
Exactly.
so
And you put that in your genetics calculator and you say, use it or don't use it,
yeah,
right?
correct.
So your results may vary.
Yeah. In which I don't know if people know that are watching. You can go in and modify genetics too, and add genetics to your system in Husbandry Pro, which I did. I
So,
added. I forgot what I added, but I added some polygenic stuff in there,
okay.
just to throw it in there.
Just
Yeah.
remember too, though, when you use, a lot of people don't know this, and there's a lot of intricacies like this that we probably need to get out there a little bit more. But when you use your personal genetics calculator, or sorry, personal genetics tables, your custom genetics tables, they don't interact the same way with the rest of the platform as the built-in ones,
Mhm.
right? Because um, unless you get your data in there right, I think we have it using, your polygenic would screw up other things for sure. Like if you put that in, because you can take, when you go to your genetics calculator, you can click which male you want to use and which female you want to use.
Correct.
But if they're using genetics that the system doesn't really understand because you haven't put it as recessive or codom or incomplete dom properly, it won't interact with the other genes that are there properly for your calculator. So whenever possible, I hope that people will say, hey, you know, Rob, your genetics tables for hognose, they need a fix. Here's the information, because all we need to do is update it, and we want it as updated as possible. So if anybody ever finds anything, and we don't hear from hognose people, I'll tell you, we get tickets all the time. So just to get the scope of things, and I don't know a lot of people understand, is that there are 14,000 registered users on our platform. There are several thousand paying accounts. And on top of that, there are thousands of free accounts, right? So the number of people that use it is significant, I think. Um, and we get tickets from ball python breeders only, right? I
Wow.
rarely, like every couple days, we'll get a ticket from
Yep.
somebody else. So I don't know if it's just not a lot are using it, or there's just not a lot of issues, or they don't complain, right? As much as ball python people
You
do.
know what? I
So
think it might
a little
be
bit
a
of
little bit
all
of
of it.
both,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think we're with every other species, we just try to fall under the ball python and just happy to get
Right,
what we
right.
get.
At
You know,
least we've got something. Okay,
for
but
sure.
if there's anything that we're missing on hognose, or any way we can put that species more in the forefront or do something. Um, so let me ask you: when you signed up, did you feel ball python, or did you feel this was inclusive for me too?
To me, I felt it was inclusive
Okay,
because it had the I already had Western hognose built in as a standard
species, right,
species.
right,
It has a lot of the genetics for Western hognose.
right,
Like I said, it's very minute stuff like polygenic things that
Right.
I added. But other than that, it was through the setup process, keeping, and then now my first breeding season.
Right.
It's gone flawless for me.
Okay. Perfect.
I've sent some tickets in, and the most
Yep.
recent one that I'm very happy that you guys answered. And Dustin had a question here. Will you be able to allow more user inputs and changes to care guides for info sheets?
So, um, we're working on a lot of technology is what we're working on right now. We're actually working on some AI stuff too. Um, and allowing I don't know if anybody noticed, just recently we brought out a new uh, label making system that kind of guides you through it. And it's actually one that you can build sheets or you can print out to Dymo labels. And it's kind of and you can resize everything now and move it around and on the card, right? So we've circled back and looked at those things and trying to find out how we can make it more customizable for you. And that's the labels are that way now in the new system. And we're going to circle back and we'll do the page design for the info sheet, I think is what, because we don't have care
Mhm.
guides. So I believe you mean the info sheets. So we're going to go and allow you to manipulate those a lot more. But really, it has a lot to do with us, you know, spending the time on first doing the technology. So we did the tech for our cards. Now we can take that same tech and do it for the info sheets, right? Where you could build in different things much easier and move things around and build your own. Um, but every time we do those things, people go, "Oh man, it's so complicated," right? So to build an info sheet, right? So it's kind of a catch-22 for us, but it's on the agenda to make it so you can, build your own from scratch. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
coming.
And I think, that's one thing we were talking about. Like, we had brought this up behind before the show started, was sometimes making it a little more simple for the people that just
Yeah,
want to track very simplicity things. And I think that will bring on a lot more people, because there's people that just say, okay, I don't need to track everything else, or I'm not a breeder, I don't need all this info.
right.
So I think, you said that that's probably something that you guys
So
actually might do, right?
it definitely is, because I think that's one of our biggest. We lose users because it's not as user friendly as we'd like it.
Mhm.
But the level of software, the platform that it's a professional. We call it a professional software, right? It's at the level where it's going to take some time to get into it. We don't have the best documentation. We don't have the best, we do have a Facebook group now that what, I've got so many really great users that just jump on those answers for people all the time. It's almost better to ask in there before submitting a ticket, because sometimes we'll go 2-3 days just because we don't want to look at the ticket and slow something else down, right? But we always address the tickets. But sometimes asking in the Facebook chat is the best way to go. But yeah, you know what? Just our conversation earlier, you had said, that we talked about how difficult it was at some point, and make something a little simpler. So we're toying with a couple ideas of making either a light version of the software, um, or making it so when you log in, you can click, this is the kind of user I am. I'm a power user. I'm a casual user. I just want to see some simple stuff. And then that version of the software is there for you and allow you to turn everything on. Um, the when I started, my thought process for the software when we started was to make it for every industry, but to make it a professional software. So really, the price points we're at for the type of software we are, I had initially been $99 a month was the lowest, 199 was and not have this many users. That was kind of where we were at in the beginning, right? We were going to have a higher end and then let the Reptile buddies and the Reptile scan and those guys, work with the lower tiers, but we ended up opening it up and going volume. So I guess it's by design, it's so complicated, right? Because our mindset is still,
Yeah.
have this really amazing product that anybody can do anything with and trim it down as much as they want or bulk it up as much as they want. So yeah, we get that, and it's always on our mind. It always is.
And you touched on pricing. Both Reptiles asked, is
Yep.
there an option to pay annually instead of monthly?
Yes, there is.
There
So
is.
either if you're signing up, you can click monthly or annually, or you can go to your subscription and upgrade to a yearly membership. If you're already on a monthly, it'll cancel your previous subscription and upgrade you to a yearly subscription. I think it saves about 20%, something like that. I think it's like 10 months for the 12. I think that's
Okay.
the way it works.
Yeah. All right. I think we had another question. Billy's asking for an example of cards from Husbandry Pro. Billy, I'm not sure if you got if you mean like a, let's say like a wrap card. Um, this is what I have, and they're a little faded, but I have QR code, uh, name, what is it, birth date, and then description and rack location. So that's something similar. I gotta get newer ones done because mine's fade out. But you can customize it like he was saying, Robert saying. Now they
Yeah,
have a full customization program to be able to do
right.
whatever your heart desires.
You can basically build a card that looks like, oh
Okay,
damn,
there we go.
green. There we go. So yeah, who knows? Okay, so anyway, you can basically build a card like that now when you couldn't before, right?
Mhm.
Before you really had to, we were telling you where to put everything, right? But now you can, if you've ever designed a business card, that's what you can do now, right? In any size you want. And then you lay out that card on your laser sheet. If it's like, like the 3 across and the 10 down, you lay that out. Or the preferred method for everybody is to print with Dymo printers or those thermal printers that
Yeah.
you specify the size, because that's perfect every time. Trying to line stuff up sometimes on those sheets is impossible because you have to get the gap between it. And we have, our old system was based on, hey, which Avery label do you have? And we'll try to put it in there. Or you can try to manipulate it and build your own template yourself. You still have to do a little bit of that now, but it's much more user friendly and you
Yeah.
can do so much more with it. But you're going to still take some time if you're trying to use laser sheets. If you use the other ones, then it's not so bad. But we also have we're bringing out, this is one of those things that got stalled on us. We invested in one of these card printers, right? The credit card printers,
Hmm.
right? So we invested in one of those, and it's actually sitting on my desk here, where people can order, and we'll ship them these cards. And the cards can be either the plastic credit card, or they can be NFCs, right? Which is nice too. But you don't need to buy them from us. It's just a service we're going to offer. And I don't know why people don't use NFCs all the time now and just print their own cards without the QR codes or anything else. Because the platform has the ability to do the NFCs. NFC tags, if you order them from Amazon, you can get, 50 of them for $20. And then you just program each tag instead of doing the scanning. Because I know scanning, you sit back and you scan it and it goes to its thing.
Right.
But what I do is I've got tags on all my bins and I just tap my phone. I tap my phone like that and get each one. And I don't have to do this scanning and pointing. And I know our scanners are great because sometimes when you move your scanner up past, it'll scan something over on the other side of the room. Right. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. It's funny because my wife tells me, "Why did you do that?" So I got these business cards printed out, and I got this idea from Billy, right? And then put the Dymo printer here. I put
right.
our QR code to our Linktree here,
Yep.
and there's times I'll get the Linktree
Exactly. I
scan
don't say I don't
instead.
understand what that is. Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, and you know what? The NFC it's faster. Okay, hang on. Before I tout the NFC, if you're on Android, it's fantastic. If you're on iPhone, I don't know. If anybody uses it here, let me know if they like it, because on iPhones, Apple restricts us to directly communicate with their NFC module for security reasons. So what has to happen is we have to have a button in the software to click to bring up the NFC reader before you tap it. In the Android version, if you tap your phone while Husbandry Pro is running, it will view that animal. It'll bring up the view of that animal. Or if you're in the quick activities, if you start tapping, it'll start loading them up and queue them up to do whatever you're doing. Um, in iPhone, it's not so good. That's only
Yeah,
because
I was gonna
iPhone,
ask you
because
that. Yeah.
just because Apple is Apple, they just don't allow it. But you know what? You can buy a tablet for a couple $100 that has NFC. Make sure it has NFC reading in it. That
Okay.
that you know you dedicate to your snake room, right? So it's not
Mm,
so bad.
yeah.
Yep.
And I'm tell the way I did it, I started using QR codes, and I have QR codes printed on all my stuff.
Yep.
But what I do now is I do the rack system, and I
Right.
bulk everything through the rack. It
Right.
makes it so much easier. And I'm gonna bring that up because in case people that aren't using Husbandry Pro and are interested in see what we're talking about, I'll bring it up here. So this is my Husbandry Pro. This is my what do you call this here, Robert? The
That's the quick activity panel, I think, or the quick
Okay,
something panel. I have no
yeah.
idea.
So
I
I
make
have
these up
animal
sometimes
list.
when I'm drunk. I don't know.
Browse, I browse racks, incubator, and breeding plan.
And you set
Um,
those all yourself, right? Those weren't
Correct.
the stock ones, right? Exactly. So
No,
you
I
can
set
set
them
those
up.
buttons to do whatever you want.
Mhm. Yeah. And as I've been using it, especially now with the breeding season, they've changed. You
Right. Oh,
definitely
good.
have to
Good.
see.
So you're actually
I'm
changing
okay.
it and using it.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. I'm seeing like, okay, what am I actually using right now or
Right.
at the moment?
Good.
Once the breeding season's done, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna need incubator, so I'm gonna
Incubator.
remove that.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So browse racks. These are the racks. These are the animals. And what's really good, especially with the hatchlings, right? Um, I go and you can go bulk feed
Yep.
here, and it's selected already. And the best thing is mark animals not fed. That little thing you guys added made
Right.
life so much easier.
So you didn't have to go
Um,
back and remember. Well, and you
correct.
know what? And that's we would never. I didn't cross my mind when I was designing it, right? To do even though because I use it differently than you use it.
Mhm.
That's simple. I do each one by one because I got a rack of, whatever the racks are, 30, and only, half of them feed at a time, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever, or two-thirds.
yeah.
So it's not a big deal for me to tap, 18 cages or 20 cages. So
Mhm. Yeah,
very
and
cool.
yesterday I was I'll tell you this. I have my 12-year-old here and she loves using Husbandry Pro.
Good, good.
She'll come in here and sit down, and yesterday we fed Sunday actually the hatchling. So she came in here. I
Yep.
told her, okay, these are animals that ate, these didn't. She unclicked because everything's
Right.
selected. You unselect, and
Right.
that's gonna mark the animal refuse feeding.
Beautiful.
Um, you can also do bulk notes, bulk cleaning. There's so many different options with bulk. I think that this whole system right there has been the time saver
Right.
for so many activities that I'm doing.
Really. And you don't use the quick activities, eh?
Um, I
I live in
do
the quick activities.
I do quick activities sometimes. What did I do? So I had it's funny because I've never used them before, but I had two clutches that I input into Husbandry Pro because I was IDing them.
Right.
I input in them and I had manually recorded all the feedings
Yep.
and activities. So I was going in and go and what we're talking about with list, right? You go to animal and post activity, going and feeding. So I was like, oh man, I'm wasting a lot of time. So then I set the post quick activities for
Right.
feedings.
Right.
But before then I wasn't using it.
No, but there's also the quick activities page you don't use, eh?
No, I
Is it
don't.
that's the
No.
one you know what, I live in that because
Mhm.
that's the one where you can just queue them all up and bam, and if you're standing in front of a rack, it's pretty easy to click them off, right? And that's, I guess you know what it is? It's probably because I don't use my rack system. I just when I move stuff around or whatever, I should probably do it. I don't do it. I don't use my own software as much as I should. I've just got too much stuff going on just because all my
Yeah.
animals are different. But you know what I do love about how you've got things here is you're using the top bar, you know what,
Mhm.
which was never something that I
Yes.
could get into.
Mhm.
And it's neat whenever, when people ask for tech support, we can hop into their account and see what's going on, right? And I
Mhm.
love hopping into some of these accounts and seeing that they're just the color schemes are just out of this world, and the top
Yeah.
bar is there. I love seeing the top bar. It takes a little bit to get used to, but it's neat to
Yeah,
see
and
you use that.
then yeah, and I rearranged the top bars too. I
Right.
put dashboard commerce animals.
Beautiful.
Just the what
I
same
don't
thing
know how many
as.
people even know that that kind of stuff is there. You know what I mean? To
Mhm, for
rearrange it
sure.
and everything else and turn it on and off. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and you can also you have a calendar of stuff that's coming up. Most recent activities here. There's
Yep.
there's a lot of great information about this. I think the incubator thing was, I
It's
love
good.
this part of it too, and I've heard people that love it as well.
Yep.
You can see how many days you have left, how many eggs,
Right.
track it. Look at this, 18 eggs. We've got 2 more days for them to pip, and it's already those
It's
little things
it's
that made
pulsing.
this yeah, made
For
this
sure.
program so much better. And then you guys added a filter feature recently. I
Uh-oh.
had
Do I know
submitted
about it?
a it was the feeding success feeding filter.
Right. Yep.
Because after so many feedings, then I'm ready for my animals
Sell it.
to sell them.
Right.
So you guys did, I think, within a week,
Yeah.
updated that and added. So then, I made a custom filter ready to sale based on animals I produced, certain
Right.
amount of feedings, and are marked for sale in the system. I do
Yep.
that and it comes up.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome that you use I use those too. People ask me all the time, well, how do I separate stuff? Right. And that's how you do it. You use those
mhm,
filters, those tab filters up there. When you create your filter, you save and apply it and you give it a name, and then you've got it up top. So what I've got is I've got balls, ETBs, I've got, those are my tabs. Right. And if I'm working with the emeralds today, I click on the emerald tab and I've just got the emeralds on there. So yeah, I don't think people understand that you can use them that way. But the other thing that I think that people don't use enough of is the tag system. Do you use the tags at all?
I do not. I do
Okay,
not.
because they're
Yeah.
a great way, because when you're putting your animal into the system, they're a great way to filter out things for different projects. And like, let's say you buy another, I don't know, it's hard with so I'm going to be a ball python guy. If you buy another pied to go into your pied project, then you can call your pied project, right? And then you can filter that. You can go back and say, hey, it's part of the pied project. Let me see everything that's in the pied project. So when you're setting up your animals, or you're setting up different groups, start using the tags, right? And create your own tags, because I don't going back always sucks, right? Going back and having to
Yes.
put all this stuff in.
Yes.
But if you do it from the beginning, right? Even if you don't do them all, right? Do some, get a system going in the beginning. Things will be much easier down the road, right? As you grow.
I like that idea. Yeah. And I'm also going to bring up the actual store.
Yep.
This is the you guys have basically is the inception of this store, right? Very
Right.
simple,
Right.
very here where you can give people a link to land to this page. It
Yep.
has some animals that I have for sale. Even the incubator, you can make your incubators and the clutches that you have public. People
Yep.
can check on that.
Do you use
The
the
wait
birthing
list.
record?
I do use the birth of the
Oh,
record.
okay.
Yeah, we have it
Yep.
up there too. Yep.
Beautiful. Good.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I like about the incubator, it's the join the wait list part of it.
Right.
If people are really interested on a specific clutch, they can get heads up and head start
Yep.
to be able to claim some animals from that clutch.
Exactly.
Um,
So we're
yeah.
working on, so for this, we're working on, this has been on the go for about the last 5 or 6 months. And I think I made the mistake about 3 months ago to say it's coming soon. Well, soon is there's so much involved in we're basically building Wix, right? You know what Wix is, where you can go build a full website. We're
Hmm.
basically building Wix within Husbandry Pro. So you can go, not sure what tier it'll be probably at. It'll probably be at the collector edition tier and up, where you can go and do a full website design. Headers, footers, graphics, and then you can plug in, you know, your animal list, your birthing records, your whatevers, right? A
Yeah.
gallery, things like that, so that now it's a full website. So we're getting a little bit away from just being a public view of sales items, but we're also, that's going to be more of a promote your business too. So people that aren't necessarily selling a lot of animals can still create, their website and tell people about all their stuff and everything else, and that'll be included in, it won't be an additional charge. So that'll be included. And we're adding some searchability to it. Uh, and here's the thing that we've always done is we've always believed that your data is your data, right? It's not anybody else's. It's not ours to do what we want with. We can't even view certain things. But well, Vidal and I can, but the other developers can't go into accounts, look at stuff or anything else. But what we try to do is we try to give you as much control over your data as possible, so that you can allow that stuff to be seen or not. Just like we're building the API, right? Which, if you have an animal for sale, a company like Morph Market could have their developer build the connection between Husbandry Pro and them, and then pull your animal data, right? And put it
Mhm.
into your store at Morph Market. But you'll have to make the connection first too with a key. So even though they build the connection to get the data out of our system, you actually have to say, yes, Morph Market can have my data. You'll have to connect it to your account there. Or another, any other classified platform will be able to connect. And if you've allowed your data to go to that specific platform, they'll be able to pull just the sales information, nothing else. So you'll always have complete control over all your data, and the store is one of those things that we're going to allow you to be part of being able to be searched or not from a central area. So, kind of like any other classified where you can go to a page and search for every, ivory that's available, right? It'll bring them up. Right now, you can't really do that on our store. You can go and look at stores, but you can't
Correct.
search it, right? But that's
Correct.
coming too. So the whole revamp of the whole store system is coming. Yes, taking a lot longer than we expected, like everything does, but it's coming. Hey, Billy, partner, how you
What's
doing?
going on, Billy? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah. Um, yeah, and Billy has done a couple lives too on his channel about Husbandry Pro and stuff.
I think he does it
When he
every
does,
time he does a live. I think he talks
yeah,
about
people
Husbandry
always start
Pro.
asking questions.
He's
It
he's a
turns
great
into
partner for sure.
yeah. And I'm glad you said about the store. My question is, and I think you have mentioned this before, being able to take payments on the store. That's going to be a
Yeah.
feature, or still playing with it.
Yeah, so that's another one of those, we talked about probably a year ago we started it. We have an invoicing system in the platform right now that you can build invoices when you sell somebody something. It'll email them the invoice, and that was it before. Well, now you can connect your PayPal account or your Stripe account if you don't have Stripe, but you can connect your PayPal or your Stripe account, or you can create a Stripe account within our platform. You click a button, takes you to Stripe, you fill out the information, comes back to us, and then you can accept payments. So that was complete 2 weeks ago, and I was this close to saying send it to the developers. And then one of my guys that I actually use for my embroidery business, I get them in there testing sometimes, right? So I asked him, and I said, geez, go in there and do some testing and just this invoicing thing. You know all about that kind of stuff. So he went in and he said, okay, so this payment plan, what happens after they make the first payment? I said, well, then they have to
Hmm.
make another payment. Okay, well, when does the system notify? So then it's like, okay, we missed that complete thing, right? So this last week and a half, we've been making it so you can actually set up your payment plans, and it'll email the person the first, click here to make your first payment, and then it will email them another link automatically in your 30 days or whatever schedule you've set up. It says make your payment now, and then it makes payments towards the invoice. So it's all there. And I'll tell you, we got this great user, Jack, that he reached out to me just the other day, and he said, you know what, is there anything I can help with? Because he answers questions all the time. And I said, you know what, if you want to go on this one thing and test it like crazy for me, I would appreciate it. So we've really got our nose to the grindstone on that one. I've got somebody else coming in just to do some testing on that specific thing. So that's probably the next big feature to release, even before the new website design. So that's coming. So you'll be able to create an invoice. Long story short, you create an invoice, send it to the user. They can pay it online after you've connected your accounts. We don't touch the money. It doesn't go to us. We don't process anything, so we don't have to charge you for that. It uses your PayPal account if you're using PayPal, or your Stripe account. All it does is put your credentials into our system, like that allows that connection. And then when they make the payment, it's got nothing to do with us. we're clean of that one. So we don't have to
Perfect.
charge you the
Perfect.
3%, or we don't charge you that. Stripe still does, or PayPal does. But and I think we'll see how much it gets used. We'll look at adding Square after, because we can do Square. That's not a problem. But or any other payment processor that somebody would want. We can definitely add that. So it's coming
Yeah.
very soon.
And you know, we're asking questions, and you guys seem like you're already have at least on your whiteboard ready. You
Yes.
know, trying to
Yeah.
work on it. At what point is it gonna say, okay, that's we need to now just maintain the system?
We're never going to just maintain the system. I don't see a
Okay.
point. So when we back when we first decided, let's do this, it's going to work, or it's going to be software. So how do we charge for this thing? So I've been in the tech industry a long time. I've seen software fail a lot, and from small companies, because what they do is they come out of the gate and they say, it's going to be $149 for the rest of your life. Well, then what I have to do is I have to make sure I'm getting there's not enough people out there to sustain that, right? If you're selling it a one time, there's no such
Correct.
it's not possible, right? And any small business that tries to, you know, continually develop a software, we would have sold it X number of times over by now. We would have gotten the money during the hype or whatever, right? And now we'd be sitting here going, well, how do we pay the bills? We'd never be able to pay, you know, for developers, right? We'd never
Yeah.
be able to pay them unless it was a subscription based service, right? So our commitment is to our users. As long as they are using the system, we will continue to have a full staff developing the system. If people like, I'm going to be honest with you, if people stop using the system, it may go back to where it's me hammering on the keyboard for, for whatever monthly
Hmm.
revenue is there, right? But we're always going to keep it running. It doesn't, we have a commitment when we started it, and we also have, you also have the ability to take all your data with you at any time, right? So it's not like we hold anybody hostage either, right? We're not
Right.
saying you can only use our platform and that's it. So we're saying, you know what, use it. At some point, if you don't like it anymore, you can export all your data and you're good, and away you go. And if you love it, we'll continue to develop it. But we've only seen growth. We haven't seen, any clawbacks. And you know what, also, when I first designed it, it wasn't called Reptile anything or Herp anything for a reason. It was called HusbandryPro, because the idea initially was, let's expand it into, the dairy industry, or farming, and horses, and birds of prey, and just everything is kind of the way it was. But we focused so much time, because it's been successful, on reptiles, that the continue of the development will always be there. Because there's so much more we can do, and so many more places we can go that we're not right now.
No, and I think this what you just said, it's a very important because being a newer program, new
Mhm.
company, people are afraid to spend time and money,
Yep.
especially the time to input their animals, maintain it, and then think, what if this company's a fly by night company and then it
Right.
shuts down?
Yep.
I've inputted all this information and
Right.
they're gone.
Right.
But it seems like you're saying you have growth. You guys are here to stay.
You have to.
um yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah,
um
you know what, we spend all our, we spend all the revenue back into development all the time. And you know what, it may not seem like it at times, because it's not lightning fast development, but as the thing gets bigger, it just gets so much more complicated. In the beginning, your request, when you asked for the days feeding, right?
mhm.
We get simple, that's a simple request. We get those kind of requests a lot, but sometimes a simple request like that is a huge problem, right? We had somebody ask for um, a date change, how the date is displayed. So when we first built the software, only one way to put a date in, as far as I'm concerned, right? But I'm
There's
Canadian,
different ways.
right? I
Yeah.
know, right? But I didn't think it was important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
can't you just use my date, right? So,
Mhm.
so we went, 2.5, 3 years with everybody using the way I do dates, right? And somebody finally said, you know what? We don't do dates in the UK that way, right? We do it a different way. So this is super confusing. So for us, it's like, okay, well, in order for people in the UK to use our software, right, we need to fix this problem. So it was a small problem in my mind, right? But once you start changing something like a date, right, it then confuses everything else, right? Just everything else.
Mhm.
So those are problems that become bigger problems than yours was. Yours was add another filter, no problem. People ask those questions all the time. I would love that for for those upgrades.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Because you
Jeremy,
know
how you doing?
what? That can help so many other people too. And I think that's where you guys think about it. Like you said it before. You can send in your request, but we gotta rationalize, you know, is it gonna help more than just, I don't know how many
Right.
people, probably 100
Exactly.
people, and
Exactly.
really say, are we gonna spend the time and money to
Right.
develop something like that, right?
Those ones, those, yeah, we get the requests all the time where I just go, because I didn't even think of doing that. And it's like
Mhm.
brilliant, right? So
Mhm.
I'm like, that's amazing. So then anytime something like that comes along, we implement it as soon as we can. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, but we really try to prioritize those. When somebody says to me, I don't like how, or the whatever's too confusing, I always say, tell me how not to confuse you. Because, we'll look at things all the time, and being computer geeks, right? It's a different thing completely, right? Why can't he click that button? Right? And then it's, well, to us it's normal, right? It's there, it's always there on every piece of software, but there's always a reason for it. And we always look at those things now and we say, you know what? How do we just, we're not so how do we make it easier for
Yeah.
everybody? Right. And we always, yeah, we definitely weigh what's good and what's bad. Yeah. And Billy's request. So
Really
let me
request.
tell you this. This was great. In the beginning, we would get Billy's requests all the time. Right. And I got to the point where I'd say to the guys when a request came in from Billy, it was like, you know what, everybody, that's a Billy problem because his collection is so big. His problems are different than my problems that are different than your problems, right? His problems with, however, 2, 3,000 animals are, but it taught us a lot. It's easier for us to scale back something we do than to scale forward, right? So using Billy, right, from the beginning, saying, you know what, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, we said, okay, let's make it so it works for Billy. And so yeah, we have this joke. It's a Billy problem. We generally ignore Billy problems and come around because there's exclusive to him because of the size of his collection. Right. But
Hear
we
that.
eventually get it to ask him. We eventually get it all done. And he doesn't get, people say, have said it to me. He gets no preferential treatment. All he does is bring things to my phone instead of, in a ticket. That's it.
Yeah. I want to say what's up to Jeremy Warfels Morph because I know he uses Husbandry Pro. He's had you
Yeah.
guys on his podcast too.
Yeah. He was one
So
of
I
my
definitely
first
watched that one.
podcasts. I think he was my
Yeah.
first podcast.
Yeah, I
So,
watched that one as well. Yeah.
yeah,
And one thing that you brought up was exporting, and then let's talk about importing information from another system.
sure.
It's I think sometimes, let's say somebody's with, let's say, a large collection, trying to import all that information from one system to another. What's the best approach that you would recommend?
Well, we have two ways to do it. The first way is to take a Reptiscan import because Reptiscan was really the only competitor that was on our radar in the beginning, I think. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I love, they've been great forever. They're a different platform than we are as far as I'm concerned. So when somebody wanted to go to us, we said Reptiscan was definitely a way we had to do it. So we can take the files that Reptiscan exports and import those. It's pretty seamless because we it's a known data source. So we know that, this is how they do their columns and this is so you can get most of that data in no problem. But then we had people that use spreadsheets and things like that, or kept their data another way, or wanted a faster way to import it. So we worked a long time a couple of years ago on getting an Excel spreadsheet import. So right now, if you go to the import export area of the software, you can export or you can download templates that have headers, and then you can fill in your data into that, name and everything else. And then the interesting thing that we did when you imported it is it imports the file and it lists all your animals, and then the row will be green if everything matches, and it'll be red if everything doesn't match. So in other words, let's say you're importing ball pythons again, and the genetic doesn't match, right? Then it will be a red line and allow you to click on the genetic and change it to something that match. Then it'll turn green, basically telling you this animal will now import properly, right? So it allows you to do all that. So we actually, I gave massive kudos to one of my guys for coming up with that whole system, because really it'll import 1,000 animals. You'll have this huge list, and it also knows, let's say that you had ivory in your as your genetic name, spelled Ivori, and it was throughout your system. If you change the first Ivory ORI to the Y, or you pick our genetic instead, it will then change all the other ones for your import, right? So it's a really smart importer. So yeah, you can import via Excel pretty much any way you want with the Excel files. You just have to do some, manipulating. If you know Excel, you'll be fine for sure.
Yeah, perfect. And that's very seamless, comparing to, transferring Excel forms to any other system,
Right. Exactly.
because they can, the
Yep.
wrong column can
Yep.
switch different ways. So it seems pretty seamless.
Yep.
Like I said, I didn't have to use it because I started from the beginning
Started
with
from
it.
scratch. It's the
Um,
best way. Starting from scratch is the best way to do it,
yeah.
because there's so much you can miss, because we can't import everything, right? And there's plus we store or we ask more information that you don't have to put in than any other platform too, right? There's definitely advantages from starting from scratch and taking the time to put it all in manually, for sure.
Yeah. Um, so, and then another thing we are talking about is like the store, where you can actually import from Husbandry Pro to Morph Market. Um,
Well, no. So right now you can export to Morph Market. So you can export your list to
correct,
Morph Market.
correct.
We have right now, we in development, we have the API, which will allow sites, whoever they choose. Like I know there's about two other new classified sites that came up.
Hmm.
Also Herp Social, right? You can
Hmm.
actually Herp Social is a great example of how we use the API when we first started building it. Right now, Herp Social, you can go to Herp Social, get an account there, click under the market, click connect my Husbandry Pro store. Then you go over to Husbandry Pro, you get your key and you pop it into Herp Social, hit submit. Then it will import all your animals, or then you can push all your animals from Husbandry Pro into Herp Social, and it'll be connected to your Herp Social account. So what we're doing is, with the API, where it's going is it's allowing any other classified site or any other whatever to connect and get that data. But we're also, let's say you were a programming guru, you have your own WordPress site, you want to just get all your data, right? You can get all your data with the API. So we've made it so that not only can a public developer get some of your data, just your sales data, but you could also get all your data if you want, and update from a third party if you write some software yourself.
That's really cool.
It's probably confusing as hell, but yes.
No, but you know what? You're
Stop me if
not.
I'm talking, in space, because it happens.
Yeah. But the simple fact is that you can export from Husbandry Pro out to other systems.
Right. You can export to any, yeah,
Yeah.
you can export any flat file you want. So any Excel file of
Mhm.
whatever data you want, your animal data, your feeding data, your whatever data.
Yeah. And so, you're not locked in. Again, you're not locked in to Husbandry Pro. You guys are actually playing nice and being able to,
You
you know,
have to.
bring every other system into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I played with that. What is it? I think the export to Morph Market
Right.
option,
Yep.
and it worked pretty well.
Good. And
So I
we've
like
had
that
no,
too.
and here's the thing. So we put in things that we don't find out are broken until later. Like if somebody uses the Morph Market export and it doesn't work, I wish, it would be great if they opened a ticket, right, and told us about it. Well, we don't know, right? Because I don't do that on a daily basis. That's not something I do, right? So the API part will make things easier should those places choose to make the connection.
Okay, nice. So where do you guys? Because now we're talking about Social. What started the thoughts of starting Social, especially with so many other social media outlets out there and stuff like that.
Well, at the time there was none when we started it, right? So
Mhm.
so six we started Herp Social 6 months ago. We started designing and developing the connections and doing the customization to the software. Under I own herpetology.io was going to be the initial site, and it was going to be more of a sharing knowledge kind of thing. But then we thought, you know what, we don't have with all the stuff going on Facebook, there isn't a social media reptile only site yet. So I guess we did a soft launch, and then I heard about Post, and then I heard about Morph Market's site. So I guess Morph Market's
Mhm.
site came out like 2 weeks after us, I think, or something, or they launched like 2 weeks after us. But everybody had the same idea kind of at the same time. I think all of us did, right?
Yeah.
And I guess we just did it at the time, and for us, it wasn't a question of who's going to do it better. I've always been I have no problem with somebody else. Like when Clutch came out, awesome. You know what? Do great. That's fantastic. It's only going to push us to do things different, or it'll teach us some things. So it's the same thing with Herp Social. I don't care that there's other social media platforms. We're not in it to make money on that. We did that one for the community, right? We're
Right.
not,
Yeah.
there's nothing in it for us. There's server costs in it for us, right? And development costs in it for us, and those kind of things. There's no fee to use Herp Social. So for us, it's a little bit of a learning thing for us. Is that without the Herp Social, right? We wouldn't have decided to do the API. And if the API goes as well as the feedback, we have 4 or 5 sites waiting to use or to make that connection with us. And that's after one announcement of it. So if this works out to the way we want it to, is there's going to be you're going to be able to have your data in multiple places without you doing any work by using Husbandry Pro as your kind of base, right? To push your ads out to how many different sites, right? However
Yeah.
many connect to it, right? So that was the thing that got us really excited about that whole thing. That's what we learned the most, I think, from Herp Social is how much there's a need for making things a little bit easier for everybody, and I think that will help you with sales and help you get your name out there and all that other kind of stuff.
I like that point of view of being able to centralize everything and
Yep,
then push it out to everything else. I think
right.
it's
It
time saver, more
and that's
time
the
with
thing,
your animals.
right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing. You know what? If and all people should have to do is ask their favorite classified site, whoever that is, hey, here's their API documentation online because it'll be public, right? The developer just has to sign up and give us the information of where they're going to use it. We'll give them a key to make the connection, and then away they go. They can start building whatever they want to build, right? So all they have to do is ask whoever their classified site is to use it. So as soon as that comes out, that's what people are going to have to do. They're going to have to say, hey, you know what, classified guys, make the connection.
Yeah. Jeremy brought up a good topic here: transferring your animals information to a client that is going to sign up for Husbandry Pro, not just
Right.
giving a printout.
Right.
And they could actually seamlessly bring that animal into their system.
Yep.
Or if you already have it, you could just transfer it.
Right.
That's really good, and I think it's another marketing thing too. Be able to get more people on it. And I
Yep.
think more users is going to make the platform a lot better too.
Absolutely. So, and the other thing for us is it goes to our feelings on your data. Your data is your data. We've always said it. And when you make that transfer, you can say what information goes. Like if you don't want the notes to go, you don't select that in the transfer, right? So what you'll do is you'll go in and you say, hey, let's transfer this to this email address. And this is the information I want to go. These are the photos I want to go. This is the Do I want to send all the feeding records? Do I want to send regurgitation records? Like, they may not want to send certain things. So they can go and say, I don't want to send these things. And then off they send the animal. The other person then either signs up or, they already have an account and they just import it into theirs and they have all whatever data the other person sent. So yeah, that was a big thing for us too, is that, but at the end of the day, it's all about us, our marketing. That's a more of a, I hate to say that's more of a marketing ploy than anything,
Agree. Agree.
right? We want more
Yeah.
users. We want you to send the link, right?
Hmm.
So to get that user to come on board.
Yeah. We have Joey. He starts. So he seems like he's on that teetering line of starting Husbandry Pro. It
Yep.
looks like he wants to track lineage of Texas rat snakes.
Yes. So we have a lineage system and people use the lineage system. I don't know how great our lineage system is. I think it's pretty good because I haven't heard many complaints. Um, and if you do get in and you know what, don't forget there's a free trial, right? 30 days. Pick the commercial, right? Level of software when you sign up for your free trial, because you can always go back, right? You can always go forward too, but what you want to do is you want your 30 days to be everything available. So grab your 30 days, take a look at how we do lineage. And the other beautiful thing about your 30 days is go ahead and just put garbage into the system. Just beat it up for a week, because there's a button in your profile that allows you to clear it, right? You don't have to sign up for a new account or anything else. You can just go in and say, hey, clear my account of all my data. Let me start over again, start fresh. So you can really kick the tires, I think, for 30 days. You don't have to give a credit card or anything else to get the 30 days. Just sign up. Everybody gets one with every email address. And then check out the lineage and see how it works for you. But we do have things in there for, rat snakes. I believe rat snakes brumate. So we have brumation systems and things like that too. So I think it should cover a lot more than just your lineage.
Yeah. Yeah. Western Hognose is brumate. And I
Right.
know when I was setting up my brumation, there was no date for going into brumation. I forgot what it was, but there was something that I needed that was missing when I was setting up brumation. And you guys worked it out.
Right. So I think so it got confusing, I think,
Mm,
for a lot of people, because in my mind, brumate only has two actions, right? Brumate has in and out. And that's all it
mm,
has, right? So for me, the activity was the activity was just called brumation or brumate. If you hit it once, the animal is in brumation. If you hit it again, it comes out, right? Because it's in.
right.
So if the animal's in, it comes out. So I think that was confusing for people too. But it's just a matter of, asking the questions, and hopefully more of this kind of stuff will teach people that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, my biggest thing about when people are asking about Husbandry Pro is it's not perfect. It's not,
No,
because it's still developing.
absolutely not.
Um, but the best thing apart about it is that you guys are willing to sit down and listen,
Mhm.
and not just say this is the way it is. If you like
No.
it, then use it and not right.
Dude, we have learned so much. Just you wouldn't believe it. The light bulb moments that we have just talking to people or looking at the tickets and stuff. But I will tell you too that there are things that I have said, "Yeah, it's a better idea for sure, but we're not going to do it," right? Just because it's too big, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's like if we how much it's all about managing the resources, right? Today we're developing some really cool big features. So we're not going to go back and look at some smaller ones for the next couple months, but we may, when we have some downtime, we definitely sit back and every ticket that comes in that we can't necessarily solve perfectly, it goes into a folder called features. And we go back to the features folder all the time and look for, what does this person think? What does this person think? We even got to the point where we built a suggestion, right, board where you can
Mhm.
make a suggestion and then other people can add comments to it and upvote it or downvote it. So the more people upvote and downvote, the more people comment on those, the faster those will get done, right? Just because, if tons of people, right, are, thumbs upping it, we're going to go, okay, well, a lot of people want that, so we're going to go ahead and do it. So it's all about feedback, right? We just need to hear from people.
And I'm gonna give you a quick suggestion right now that I was thinking about the other
Let me get my
day.
pen.
You ready? You ready? The rack system,
Yeah.
also numbering the rows, not just the columns.
So if you go there,
Is there an option to add
well,
that?
there's something. Yeah, there's you know what? Message me tomorrow, okay?
Okay,
I
will
Here's
do.
the thing. The software's been going for 3 years. I've forgotten more about it than I know, right? Because there's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff I don't use. I don't have time to be using every little bit of it. There is a numbering configuration thing we added for one of the users, and he was happy with what we did, but I still don't understand what we did. So well,
Okay,
let me take a look at that tomorrow. Just send me a message and say, "Hey, can you look into that thing?" And then I'll take a look quickly and then update you on that. But there's something about how you can do the racks and the rows with different numbers and letters and things like that.
okay,
Something
that'll be
there.
cool for sure. I'll definitely. Let's see. Billy said Husband Pro is working on a system to feed and clean the animals.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Robots, they're coming, Billy. They're coming.
Yeah, yeah,
See if we can get
and
the
you know
AI to
what?
do that.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the most time-consuming things you could do as a reptile keeper is cleaning and feeding your
Yep.
animals,
Yep.
because it definitely takes time.
Yep.
So if you can record and take the data, what's it
Yep.
called, input time out of it,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
what simple.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, we're trying to make it as fast as possible so people don't have an excuse not to use it. And but I also think though that it's got a lot to do with where does the benefit lie, right? Where does the benefit in, I've always looked at it as the benefit is showing your customers that you are using the best practices for your husbandry because you can go back and look at anything that happened whenever it happened and everything else.
Correct.
But there's also the other things where, you can start seeing trends over the years on, the temperature. If you're monitoring at all, like I have sensor, I think I have 8 sensor pushes in this house, right? That are feeding data in. So I can know, why my emeralds are breeding like crazy right now, or they're not touching each other, right? Based on historical data. I can see, I breed my emeralds every couple of years, right? So I can see which ones are due this year very easily and very quickly. That a lot of people don't necessarily, depending on how big your collect. A lot of people are, I think, who's that? Brian Cusco, right? Yeah, I had a
Mhm.
chat with Brian one day, and he was like, you know what? I think it's great what you're doing, but I don't need it. I'm in tune with my animals, right? And I get that too, right? I really do because I'm a lot like that too. Is that I
Mhm.
know from the top of my head generally when the animal ate the last time or whatever. But there's a lot to be said for being able to go back for the data and showing that professional you know outlook. And for the life of me, I do not understand why people that do shows don't use QR codes and the NFC codes at the shows. Like put the tag on each of the container, like the acrylic things.
Mhm.
Put one of the tags on an NFC tag. You're busy. Somebody can just pop, you know, their thing to it, and up it comes a website, the public view of that animal to find out all the information about that animal. So I don't know why more people aren't using that kind of thing, and I love feedback on that, right? Because it's super easy to do. I think Billy still prints labels for shows. But if you use the NFC tag and put an NFC, then you just reassign that NFC tag before each show, which only takes a second, right? Because you can write to those NFC tags with our software. So that's something that I wish more people would use because I think the future for us is NFC. I don't think it's QR. QR to me is clunky.
Mhm.
NFC is fast, and as it catches on, I don't. Do you guys use Tap a lot in the US?
For payments, yeah,
Yeah,
like
for
in
payment.
stores and stuff like that, yeah, for sure.
Okay, it's everywhere, right? Okay,
Mhm.
just because to here it's normal. Like if you got to put your card in, I don't even want to pay, right? But I always want to tap. So in Canada, it's been around for a long time. So the NFC technology, I just think we were just a little bit ahead of
Mhm.
the NFC train, right? And I just prefer that a lot more. And I think we're gonna go farther that way, even though there's a slight cost to it, right? But the cost is negligible from Amazon. You don't need to buy our nice little acrylic tags for sure.
And I think with the NFC, because I'm a Apple user,
Yep.
it's that I'm gonna have to try it
Right.
out because I haven't used it yet.
Right.
But I'm
It's a
gonna
little
definitely get a
clunky.
few, and I'm gonna try it out and see how it works.
But you can also assign an NFC tag to your racks, right? You can
Yeah,
assign NFC tags to a lot of things, right? So we're going to be making that more robust, and um, I think we'll come up with a solution. Either Apple will allow the connection between the NFC reader and regular software, or we'll find another way to read those tags in the iOS
right.
eventually within the next little while. It's a priority because I know there's a lot of iOS users out there.
Mhm.
Not as many Android, but definitely there's a lot.
Yeah. And then so that's one thing I'm really looking forward to because next week we have Daytona
Yep.
the expo. So I'm definitely going to use at least the QR codes on the
Yep.
Deli Cups. So I'm really looking forward to see how that works and how people are interact with it.
Yep.
Um, you know,
I think what we're going to do too is I think we'll go ahead and we're going to implement a allow you to have a user fill out a form. So if they hit the QR code at the thing, allow them to put in their email address and present them with a X number of dollar coupon to use immediately. Right.
I
So
like
let's
that.
say, and you can set that up or not, right? Because we're all about options here, right?
Mhm.
So you can set that up where, hey, let's give $50 off if they put in any animal, if they put in their email address and then show them the animal after they scan the thing. So we're going to do things like that because we're all about our breeders. We're all about, you guys are, the guys that are the breeders are the sweet spot for us. Those are the guys we need to keep happy, right? So
Mhm.
so we want to make it easier for you to connect with your customers, and that'll be one of those ways.
Okay. Yeah. And then talking about shows, have you guys thought about, or is that in your horizon to start, bring Husbandry Pro to expos and so
It
people can.
Yeah, well, that was a conversation Billy and I had at the beginning of the year. This was going to be our year to go into shows and do
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Um, we sat back and the cost for us to do shows is so much more than other people to do shows just because
Yeah, no.
we have booth costs. That's everybody has that, but we
Mhm.
also have storage cost. Where do we put booths somewhere central that we can get all over the US and then have them go and go back to that place while we're in Canada, right? And then we're flying out of Canada. It was just so cost prohibitive. Daytona would have cost us, $5,000, right? To go to Daytona and have a booth, right? That's, the costs of getting a couple people there, hotels there, booth, and then the storage of that booth and getting it in. It was just very confusing for us. So we've got um, Zach from Par Part Pythons is going to be doing a lot of the bigger shows and representing us in the US.
Okay.
We're all our partners also represent pretty well at the shows. So we're looking, I think, to build our partner network a little bit for those people that are going to the shows. I know we've got a bunch. So long story short, it was 50 grand for us to devote for the year to do the shows that we wanted to do. We're spending that a little more on some swag and things like that, and helping some of our partners out a little bit at the shows to promote us that way. So those are the things that we're going to do. I'm not saying we're not going to do shows, but you said it off the bat too. You haven't really heard about me. It's because I'm not. I've been a reptile guy for a long, long time.
Mhm.
I know people like Tom Crutchfield and all those guys from way back then, right? Um, but I'm not in the industry like that. And I don't ever necessarily want to be. I want to be away from the drama. I want to be away from I don't owe anybody anything and I don't, you know what I mean? I just don't want, and I think the ball python industry has more drama and more of that kind of stuff that I just don't do. I don't like to do it. I don't do any of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I know the shows are a lot of that and it's just not. I need to focus on what I need to do. I put blinders on. I hear about stuff all the time, and I go like this and I say, you know what, I have a job to do, and that's to make Husbandry Pro the best possible software ever. I don't care if, the industry leaders are all getting together to squash me, right? I don't,
Yeah.
that it's not a concern for me, and I kind of like to stay out of it like that, and away from the industry, so I can focus on software, right? The reptiles for me are to help me with the software. It's not really the other way around, right? I'm not a hobbyist. That I am a hobbyist, but I'm a programmer first. I'm a software developer first, and a business owner first, and then I just happen to build the software because of my love for animals or for reptiles.
I think that approach is really healthy. First
Yes,
of
I
all,
think so too.
for your personal and for the
Yeah,
business,
right.
because then you don't have the distraction.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
and
take
I
the
don't
same
I don't
approach.
worry about the other stuff. I just, you know what? I don't care. Eh, I don't care what, that clutch is coming out in 3 months. Look out. Right? So,
Yeah,
it's not a thing for me, right? I wish everybody well that is in business, and I hope everybody does well. I hope we do better, right? But and we're just gonna, but it's my fault if we don't, right? It's
yeah,
because, the choices and decisions that I've made is where this company is going to be in the future. So,
right.
yeah, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to let everybody else worry about, the shows and that kind of thing, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and I think like you said, you name clutch.
Yep,
Healthy competition is important
it
because
is.
sometimes you get complacent and you get
Yep,
comfortable. So
absolutely.
that does push you a little bit.
Absolutely.
I was in the Marine Corps here in
Yep.
the U.S. and one thing we always said: complacency kills.
Yep, for sure. Oh yeah, and I've been there. I've been there. I've sat there and been on these things, and people go, "Dude, this best software ever." Blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there patting myself on the back, and it's like, the next thing I know, right, there is this, somebody else saying, "Hey, we can do it better." Right. And it's like, you know what? You might be able to. So I better pick up my shoes a little bit here. Unfortunately, though, times like that too uh, cause fast growth and then bigger problems when it's software. So really, I got, you know what? I've learned a lot over the last few years, and that's to stay in my lane, to do what I want to do, and keep going forward, and try to stay out of just everything else, and just do what we got to do. And that's all. Because you're the one that's feeding my family and my staff, right? You're the only one I have to make happy, right? The people that are
Right.
paying for the software every month, right? And that's our
Yeah.
primary concern for sure.
Yeah. So where do you see Husbandry Pro in 5 years? What is your guys' 5 year goal?
um I don't
You
know,
say you
you know
have
what.
what about 14K users right
Yeah.
now?
Well,
Yeah,
registered. They're not.
registered.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. There's several thousand paying users.
Okay.
So where do we see ourselves? I think we need to get a little more global. Um, I would say 95% of our users are US.
Mhm.
We do have users from all over the world. I know the industry is big, all in other places, and we just need to get in there a little bit more. So, we have different languages, and we have ways for you to suggest updates to our languages and all that kind of stuff. And we have different currencies, and if somebody needs a currency, we'll add it. So we're going that way. Um, we want to add things for people at the shows to enhance the shows for them, and we're looking at stores, retail stores. How can we help them? And more than anything, I think I'd like to stay out of the classified. I know people have asked, why don't you do a morph market? It's not it's not really a thing for me, right? I owned reptiles classified .ca, Canadian site. um I don't want to monitor, what somebody's selling and why they're selling it, or getting blamed for a bad deal or anything else. I don't want anything to do with that, right? So I think we're going to stay out of that for the most part if we can. We're going to enhance some of our store features, um, and we're going to branch out to other animals too. And we can only learn. You know what, people? If anybody ever says, "Why are you doing that?" Well, you know what? We're only going to learn and get better from practices from other industries. Birds of prey are big on my mind. I've got a friend that has a big birds of prey conservancy here. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna just keep building it. We're gonna and while we build it, we're really going to be focusing on making it simpler too at the same time. So I think, and we know it's a problem. I think I always say that. We know that people just they get in and they look like me after a little while because they've pulled their hair out. So it's yeah that
Yeah, it can definitely
we're
be,
gonna make
yeah,
it
that
easy.
like
Yeah,
it can be that deterrent of, okay, it is
it is.
overwhelming, it's way too much.
It is for
It's
sure
not what
because
I
I've
signed up for.
you know what the bad the bad reviews we have on Android or iOS are either too complicated or too expensive. That's it, right? So so too complicated, I get it. Too expensive, I don't get it. Right? It's
You know
it's
what?
it's
And I was
zero
gonna say
dollars
that.
or $4 or $9. You know what? If you have a collection of 300 animals and and you don't think $18 a month is worth it to help you manage your collection, then okay, yeah, that's I can't argue that if that's how your mindset is. People's feeding bills for their animals are 10 times that every week, right? So
Yeah. And I
so
was gonna say, ask, like, because I don't see it on my end right now. The tiers
yes,
of cost.
yes. I'm on the screen right now. So we've got a free tier is up to 5 animals. So it's the only difference is, well, no, there's a few other differences. You've got the free tier, what's this one? The hobbyist or the collector. So the free tier and the hobbyist do not have the breeding plan on it because you're not a breeder technically if you're in
Mhm.
those levels. I better switch to US dollars here because we're on a US show. So US dollars, you're looking at $4 or $0 for up to 5 animals. $4 you get 50 animals. $9 you get 200 animals. Breeder is the most popular plan. $18 a month, 500 animals. And keep in mind that it's 500 animals at one time, right? Like you may have 300 animals, you may pop up to 425 in the end of a season, right? But as you're selling those, you're archiving those animals and your numbers are going back down, right? So 500 is, I think, a pretty reasonable number for a breeder to have. And that's $39 a month that's $18 a month for a breeder, 39 for a commercial operation, no limit on anything. And then we also have a free rescue plan, which is the commercial plan. So there's no limits, but it has none of the breeding stuff in it either. And it's free for rescues, right? So they can
That's
use it
very
as much
important.
as they want. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
Right.
we don't rescues don't get brought up enough in
Mhm.
our industry, and I have a friend, one or two friends that run rescues,
Right.
that might be very interested in this, but
Yep.
might not have
So,
the
yep.
finances to put into that. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's free, if it helps you, great. All we ask is for you to put a link on your website that says we use Husbandry Pro. So it's
Yeah,
a good deal, I
that's
think,
pretty
for
cool.
everybody. Yep.
Yeah, see, learning new things every time we do a podcast here.
Absolutely.
um, yeah. So I'm gonna ask you, what is there any like moment when you guys were building Husbandry Pro, or through like the first couple years, that maybe thought it's like, maybe we shouldn't have done this?
No. No,
No,
I
it was
don't,
always
I
head first.
you know what? So I no, I think whenever you can take your passion, something you're passionate about, and mix it with your business, it's a win-win, right? And
Mhm.
for me, you know what, I build, my company builds back-end systems for companies. So basically takes a small companies and we say, you know what, you use QuickBooks, you use this, you use that, you use this. We build you a system that communicates with all those things, and that's kind of what we did before. And you know what, it's not a lot of fun, right? It's not, and we were fortunate enough that we had the time and um we built something that I'm passionate about, right? I'm passionate about husbandry itself, and I'm passionate about record keeping, and I think it's important, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think there was any time we said no. I think think there's times we made mistakes and we went, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that, right? Maybe we shouldn't have done Herp Social. I don't know, right? Like I really, and we only know whether it was a mistake or not based on what everybody says back to us, right? If you use
Yeah.
it, it wasn't a mistake. If you don't use it, it was a mistake to waste the time or whatever. But no, we've never sat back and said, let's not do it. I think when uh, we were developing it, I had nothing to show Billy when we were just talking about it and stuff, and I don't think there was ever a time when we said the only big switch for us, I think, was what level of software is this? Is a commercial guy going to spend $400 a month, which is what we were targeting for the commercial? The guys like Billy, right? We were looking at $400 a month, and we're looking at breeders were going to be $199 a month, so you'd be paying $199 a month, right? That's what we thought something like this was worth. So that's the only big switch for us. And then we took a step back and said, you know what, let's just go for everybody. But it brought its own challenges because we have tech support staff now too, right? People answering questions right on the
Yeah.
weekend, right? So right, it definitely costs us a lot more money to do it the way we did it, but no regrets, not at all. Yeah,
It's
wouldn't have
good.
done anything
Good.
differently, I don't think, either.
Good. This is great where you can sit down with developer owner of a program and talk.
Right.
Have the direct contact with somebody and be able to be in the public, because
Yep.
I think this definitely connects to our community where it's not just a product, it's
Right.
an actual living thing, and people are
Yep.
more willing to spend their money and back a company when they can
Right.
actually see that not
Right.
just somebody. You're not just a programmer. You're also a keeper,
Right.
and
Right.
breeder. So,
Yeah, I don't think you could do my job if you weren't, and
mm,
I don't think you could do my job if you were a ball python breeder. You know what I mean? Like, because everything that we do is not targeted at like we ask, we do something and we say, how does it affect a live bear? How does it affect, a rabbit? Right? We look at those things because we want it to work the same way for everybody. So, yeah, I don't think if I had the background that I had, if I didn't have that background, I don't think we could have built what we have. So, yeah, it helped out definitely.
so we're gonna start wrapping up. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to know, people, maybe potential users or current users,
I
about
think
Husbandry Pro?
You know what? For me, I think the most important thing is to, if you try it out, get into the Facebook chat or the Facebook group. Join it. There's a link right in the system under your profile. If you haven't used it yet, kick the tires. Go in for 30 days. If after 30 days you're still not sure, open up a ticket and we'll give you another 30 days. It's no big deal, really. We want you to be sure before you come on board. We don't want you to regret the decision. Um, what's coming is the changes to your forward facing, how your customers see you. We're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff. That's important to us. Getting you out there a little bit more is important to us, and cleaning it up is important to us. um, the problem also we have when we clean things up is you may use something that I think is stupid, right? And I may remove it, right? So we've always got that problem too, right? We actually, we know how many times somebody has opened a certain scanner, right? So we have an old scanner that was put in the beginning that, I reset the counter last week and 40,000 scans have been done since last week on that scanner. I didn't think I would have just yanked it a long time ago, right? But unfortunately, as we build, it just gets bigger because some people are using something from that I think is redundant, but
Mhm.
that's what they like, right? So we
Yeah.
leave it in there. So, but you know what? Open tickets, give us suggestions. All we can do is if you have a problem, we can look at it. And there's a lot of stuff I'm sure that's in the software that we have no idea isn't working optimally. And the only way we can know about it is if you let us know. And the fact that this is going to hognose people is great because I have no idea how our genetics tables are. I don't know if they're great. I don't know if they're bad. Is there something it needs? Are there allelic combinations I don't know about? Right? Any of that kind of stuff. Either on the Facebook page, plop it in there, or in the group rather, or open a ticket. we may just archive it for now and get back to it later. If it's critical, we'll take care of it right away, all the time.
Perfect. Perfect. And then you guys also have instructional videos on your YouTube, right? And
Yes.
then a lot of the pages for in the system have that YouTube link right
Right.
above.
Right.
Um,
So I'm also gonna be diligent about starting to get back to making more videos, because I know from when we did videos, there's so much has changed again. So I need to go back and start again, really, to do those videos. So yeah, if you click at the top, and there's, we also have documentation, right? So there is a document site that we had one of Billy's people write in the beginning. She used the software all the time. Catherine, she uses software all the time, so she wrote all this great documentation. But it's also a little bit older, because we develop it so fast. Our development would be so much slower if we had to develop, get onto the documentation right away, tie it all up in a nice bow. We'd rather just release it. Hopefully you figure it out. If you don't, you're going to be asking us about it, so we'll get back to you. But yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot going on, and we'll just do our best to keep plugging away at it.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, guys. So I just want to remind everybody, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Go to subscribe to Husbandry Pro's YouTube as well. If you're not on Husbandry Pro yet, do the 30-day trial.
Exactly.
I think put in 1 or 2 animals. I think you said it before. Run through the process for a
Yep.
month, and I think most of the times you're going to be happy with the actual program.
Right.
Once you
And
get started working on it.
you're putting your link in the bottom here for Husbandry Pro, right?
What
Don't,
link?
don't you have your partner
I
link?
do not. No.
I thought I said, well, you'll be a partner before the end of this. So when this video posts,
Perfect.
put your partner link down below. Okay, you'll have to go under your partner. Just grab the link. I have no other assets for you yet. They'll go in your account in a couple days.
Perfect. Sounds
Okay.
good to me.
Right, good
That'd be
stuff.
great. Yeah. So yeah, everybody, make sure you try Husbandry Pro. Go check us out, Clover's Reptiles at Daytona this next weekend. So it's the 19th through the 21st. I'm not wrong on those dates, but it's next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Join us there. We're gonna have some stuff for sale. And say thank you to Robert for taking the time out and sitting with us and talking. Husbandry
Awesome.
Pro, we software can be a little bit boring, but I think it's an important part about taking our husbandry to the next level.
Absolutely. Good stuff. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one.
Good stuff.